YouTube. In today's video, we're going to be play testing the Enduring Enchantress commander deck that we have over here. Guys, when we do this play test today, I spent a lot of money on these commander decks so I can make these videos. We do not have sleeves for these decks at this point in time because money is a thing that is not here in this video right now. So just please have patience and thank you for understanding. The purpose of this video is to play this commander deck, go over the cards in the deck while we're playing so that new players that are playing this deck will know how to properly sequence the cards so that when they go sit down and play, you guys have a really good understanding and idea of how to sequence everything so that you can win when you play. At the end of the video, we're going to be opening up this collector booster pack that came inside the pre-con, and we'll see what we get. But first, what we got to do is shuffle this commander deck. Okay, so now that this is shuffled, let's take a look at the commander. The commander is Anikthea, the Hand of Erebos. She has Menace, and then she gives enchantment creatures we control Menace. Menace meaning that if I attack with this, our opponent has to block with 2 creatures or more. They cannot block with just 1. Anikthea says that when she enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 target non-aura enchantment card from your graveyard. We create a token copy that's a copy of that card, except it's a 3/3 black zombie creature in addition to its other types, which is the reason why this deck is called Enduring Enchantments. And that creature's also gonna have Menace as well because Anikthea gives Menace to enchantment creatures. So what we're gonna do is draw 7 and we'll see what we get. So we have the Shine Shadow Snarl, say that 5 times fast. We have a Swamp, Boon of the Spirit Realm, Mind Rack Harpy, Battle for Bredegard, Mesa Enchantress, and a Sigil of the Empty Throne. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And for new players, we don't have a forest in our opening hand over here, and I like to generally have all the colors we need to play our commander in our opening hand. So we're actually just gonna mulligan this and do this again. Let me just shuffle. Number 2, Fortified Village. There's a forest. Ghoulish Impetus, another forest. Abundance, Nyx Weaver, Farseek, and a Satyr Enchanter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 cards in hand. So Satyr Enchanter acts like a form of card draw. This is an enchantress, so this is going to work out pretty well for us. This is just generally just a good hand. So we're going to take this. We'll draw for turn. We'll draw into a Battle at the Hell Vault, which is going to exile a non-saga permanent for 2 turns. And then we're going to create an 8/8 Avacyn, which is pretty cool. I hope we have an Avacyn token here. That is, oh, this is Avacyn. Oh, so then we would create this, which is pretty awesome. That's a good card. We're going to go ahead and put this in our hand. Let's see if we can get that into play. We'll draw that, and then we're going to play our Fortified Village, revealing the forest so it enters untapped for no reason. And then we will pass. We will draw into Extinguish All Hope. Okay, so we're gonna play this forest, and we got to get more lands into play. So we're gonna Farseek, and we're gonna search for that swamp that we're missing. And now, because we have the swamp, we have all the colors we need to play our commander Anikthea, which is pretty good. We will put that back, and then we'll untap and draw for our turn. A Greater Tanuki, which is gonna let us put more lands into play if we want to right now. And I think because we haven't played a land this turn, that's gonna have to be the play because I just don't see another decision that would be wise. So because this has, we can activate this at instant speed, I would just pass a turn here, and then during my opponent's turn, I could tap 3 mana and channel this, pay 3, and then search my library for a land. Because, you know, we need a lot of 2 white manas for some of our enchantments. The land that we're gonna grab is gonna be a Plains so that we have that 2nd white mana if we really need it. So what we're gonna do is then untap, and then we'll draw for turn into a Doomwake Giant, which is another 5 mana spell. And right now the deck feels like it's playing really slow, which is unfortunate to say the least. I mean, what we could do here is play our Abundance, but You know, that way we can make sure that we get a land next turn, and it almost feels like we kind of have to do that, or we can play our Satyr Enchanter to get a creature on the board to protect our life total. But then again, this acts like a beacon for removal. Okay, so because we're in this situation, right? Let's talk about this. So we have our Satyr Enchanter, right? Satyr Enchanter is gonna let us draw a card every time we cast an enchantment. Inside this deck, guys, these cards that do this are incredibly important, and we have to play them wisely. I could just play this right now, but what if my opponent just removes it from the game? Now, I have no other methods of card draw like that in my hand anymore. It would be unwise to play this. So because we're in a situation where we have no creatures in play, we can just lean into it, which is what we're going to end up doing, is paying 4, and we're going to get our abundance on the battlefield. And because abundance is on the battlefield, essentially we're just going to be in a bad position for 2 turns, right? So what's gonna happen is we're gonna pass the turn, right? We'll untap and we'll draw. We'll choose land because we're gonna draw a card. Now we're gonna reveal until we find a land, which is right here, which is funny. So that's just gonna go to our hand. So now we hit our land drop, so we'll play our land per turn. And now what we can do is to make sure that we're not taking any damage here because we still have no creatures and we're planning on wiping the board next turn. Because we have no creatures, we can pay 3 mana here and we can put a Ghoulish Impetus on one of our opponent's creatures. And when we play this card, it's going to force our opponent's creatures to be goaded. So in other words, that creature that we goaded can't attack us. So that's going to be there like that. And then we will just pass a turn with no creatures on the board again. Then we'll untap, we'll call land because we need another land. That is not a land. That is not a land. That is a good card though. That is not a land. This is a land. So this is going to go to our hand. The rest go in the bottom of our library in any order. We'll just leave it like that. We'll put the Ash Barrens into our hand. We'll play the Ash Barrens. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana is what we have. We'll pay 6 and then we will extinguish all hope, which means that we get to destroy all non-enchantment creatures. Now, I want you to notice that we were thinking about playing this card earlier. Be aware that this card right here is not an enchantment creature. And because it's not an enchantment creature, if this card was in play as we cast this, we would have destroyed our own card draw engine, which would have been unwise. So we can put this back into our hand because we didn't play that. We destroyed all of our opponent's creatures, or most of them. And then this card here says at the beginning of the next end step, this card goes back to the battlefield, which may not happen because, you know, we destroyed all the creatures. So this is just going to go back to our hand, or not even to our hand, to the graveyard, I should say. And that'll go to the graveyard. And then we'll pass after wiping the board. And now I want you to notice that we'll untap. We're going to go to draw, and I think once again we're going to choose a land, and there's our land. So this is going to enter tapped for our turn. We're going to scry 1. We'll put this on the bottom because I think we're good with lands here. And now, because we've just wiped the board and essentially just reset the game, now it would be wise for us to start playing our own creatures. And because we have a lot more mana, we can do a lot more things. What we're going to do first is pay 3 mana. Let's get our Satyr Enchanter on the battlefield, so whenever we cast an enchantment spell, we're going to draw a card. And then we'll pay 3 and we'll play a Nyx Weaver. So at the beginning of our upkeep, we're going to mill 2 cards, and we can pay 3 to exile this to return a card from our graveyard back to our hand. So we would pass then. We would then untap and draw. I'm going to choose a non-land. So we're going to reveal until we get a non-land, which is a Jukai Naturalist. So this is going to go to our hand. It's going to make our enchantment spells easier to cast. What we can do is look at the amount of mana we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Let's just play Battle at the Hell Vault. So we'll go white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We needed to mill with the Nyx Weaver, so we're going to mill a Spirited Companion and the Eidolon of Blossoms, another card that draws us cards, or 2 cards that draw us cards really, but that one was the better one. And we'll play Battle at the Hell Vault. So for each player, we're going to exile up to 1 target non-saga, non-land permanent that player controls. And we're going to choose our opponent's commanders that they most likely replayed after we wipe the board. We're also going to draw a card from the Satyr Enchanter because we played an enchantment. and we'll draw into an arcane signet here. And then what we're gonna end up doing is just passing the turn after that. Guys, noticing that like we don't really want to be too offensive with this deck. We kind of just want to sit and just build a board state, and just protect our life total with creatures, wipe the board, remove things, and wait till we can get to a point where we've just locked down our opponents enough where we're able to kind of just like, at the worst, force people to quit because of how much we're controlling the game, or to just over time just build up in a large force of creatures over here to take out our opponents. But we'll untap and we'll draw for turn into a Canopy Vista. We'll call land here, it's fine. We'll play that land, and now we get to exile more things with Battle at the Hell Vault, right? So that happens. And then we're gonna go ahead and play this Jukai Naturalist. So that's gonna enter the battlefield. This is an enchantment creature, so we're gonna draw a card. There's a forest. Let's choose non-land with this so that we get a forest here, a Herald of the Pantheon. So that Herald of the Pantheon is going to go to our hand. And now this is getting kind of intense because we can pay 2 mana here. He is not an enchantment himself, so he does not get the cost reduction from the Jukai Naturalist, but we can play Herald of the Pantheon. So now our enchantment spells cost 2 less to cast. So our Doomwake Giant essentially costs 3 mana to play. So we'll tap 3 and we'll play our enchantment here, which is the Doomwake Giant. So our creatures our opponents control are going to get -1/-1 till the end of turn. We'll draw a card off of the enchanter, which is going to be an Archon of Sun's Grace. Then things just kind of keep going. You know, if somebody wipes the board, these things go to the graveyard. You know, eventually this card is going to turn into a flying 8/8 that's indestructible with vigilance. You know, at some point we could also get Anikthea back onto the battlefield and just start reanimating the things that were potentially have been destroyed. You know, I could have Battle to Hell Vault go to the graveyard, and then I could exile the Nyx Weaver to bring the Hell Vault back to our hand to start exiling things again, to then get another Avacyn onto the battlefield if we lose this Avacyn to some sort of exile effect, and just keep recycling the same things over and over again. And that's generally how this deck plays, guys. I think the biggest thing to know from this deck is that what makes Enchantress decks work, or enchantment-based decks work, is cards that say that when you cast an enchantment spell, you draw a card. And we don't want to just play these cards just willy-nilly. We want to have at least 1 on the battlefield at all times, and at maximum 2. We don't want to, there's no point, guys, and I've seen so many times where people will just have like 7 cards that do this, where when we cast an enchantment spell, we draw a card, and then somebody casts a board wipe, and then you have nothing left in your deck that's going to have you draw cards when you cast an enchantment spell, which is the easiest way to lose a game when you're playing Enchantress, in my opinion. It's just gutting yourself. So be stingy with how you play those cards. And that's Anikthea. I know we didn't even play our commander, but sometimes decks are so good that you don't need to, and that's a really good compliment for a commander deck. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and open this Commander Masters pack, and we'll see what we get. Guys, we got Gisela. I think Gisela's, you know, gonna be the best card I've seen out of all these packs, but we'll see. We have a Obscuring Haze, which is a free, dude, they're putting cards into this, which is a free fog, and then a dope looking Path to Exile, which is awesome. Okay, that's it for the video, guys. As always, if you like these videos, you can like this video. If you want to see more videos like this, all the pre-concert Commander Masters will have videos similar to this one if they are not already on the channel. Always remember, eat healthy, okay, work out every single day. Most importantly, you guys got to remember to believe in yourself. All right, peace out, people.